we on? Yep, we're on. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Bingel Watch. My name is Matt Bingel. Thank you so much for coming back. I'm so happy you came back. This is another week here on the Bingel Watch. Every week we'll be talking about a different topic about the 70s, 80s, and 90s in terms of television. This week, I shall be talking about TV sign-offs. But before I do so, I want to send a couple of shout-outs here. One in particular to a good friend of mine who you're going to see next week. His name is Corey Lawrence, and his birthday is on Tuesday. This coming Tuesday, so a happy birthday. And I also want to send one quick shout-out here. As many of you know, Avenue Q is celebrating its 15th anniversary this month. If you may remember, it was on the Today Show this past Wednesday. Awesome appearance, by the way. This Tuesday is also a very special day for two of its characters, Rod and Ricky. They were married on July 24th, 2011, as the first gay marriage in New York. So, what a coincidence there. From all of us here at the Bingel Watch, a happy 7th wedding anniversary to Rod and Ricky of Avenue Q. Love wins. And I'm a big fan of Avenue Q. We'll talk about Avenue Q another week as like a special episode here, but no need to worry about that. We'll probably mention Avenue Q again next week because, well, why not? Anyways, let's get to this week's topic, TV sign-offs. For those who remember when TV channels actually went off the air during the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and a little bit in the early 2000s, you may remember how it went down. A lot of the networks didn't have 24-hour networks back then, or channels, rather. I'm sorry about that. They had, instead, they talked about, like, how many kilowatts it's running on and all the other technical crap and stuff like that. And then they sign off, and then they play the national anthem, they fade out, and then the color bars. It's different, though, in the UK. You see, they have all these promos for the coming week, right? And then they don't do the technical stuff. They just look at the clock, say the time, say some final words, and then sign off. And then they say, oh yeah, and one more reminder if you're... no. This is completely unscripted, folks. I apologize. Don't forget to turn off your television sets. That's what they did. That's what they did out in the UK. I believe it was before 1997, I want to say, for the BBC anyway. Because they switched to 24-hour... they first aired BBC News 24 in October of 1997. It was pretty interesting. But I've been watching a lot of sign-offs recently, and it's really intrigued me, the fact that TV networks actually got sleep back then. Even the cable networks, we're talking Nickelodeon, they had sign-offs. Trying to remember off the top of my head. HBO did, of course they did. All the networks had sign-offs in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. A little bit in the early 2000s. This, of course, was before the digital switch in 2009, which pretty much ended the sign-off, as we know it, anyway. Now, I have no idea if TV networks are still doing sign-offs. I highly, highly doubt it at this point. But here's an example. We'll show you an example here of a US one and then a UK one here. So go ahead, take a listen. Forgot to mention here, this first sign-off is from WABC TV, Channel 7 in New York. Dates back to the year 1959. So yeah, we're going back a long, long time here. So here it goes.
This is station WABC TV, New York, Channel 7, key station in the ABC television network. Service to our community through television programs that entertain, inform, and educate. This is the pledge of WABC-TV as a subscriber in good standing to the television code of the National Association of Broadcasters. This seal assures you of Channel 7's constant efforts to present the finest programs. WABC-TV is owned and operated by the American Broadcasting Company, a division of American Broadcasting Paramount Theaters Incorporated. Executive offices and studios are located at the ABC Television Center, 7 West 66th Street, New York. Programs are transmitted from the top of the Empire State Building in Midtown Manhattan with a frequency of 174 to 180 megacycles. WABC-TV operates on Channel 7 by authority of the Federal Communications Commission. Now, speaking for the entire staff, this is Don Dowd wishing you a pleasant good night and inviting you to join us this morning at 7:25 for more outstanding entertainment on Channel 7. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
So you could hear in that short-minute clip, they had a lot of technical stuff. For those wondering, that seal good practice, that was on every single network, I believe, until 1984. It started dying down in the early 1980s, because they didn't need it anymore. Let me see if I can find it here. The Code of Practice for Television Broadcasters, it was called. I was wrong. It was used until 1983. The code prohibited the use of profanity, the negative portrayal of family life, irreverence for God and religion, illicit sex, drunkenness and addiction, presentation of cruelty, detailed techniques of crime, the use of horror for its own sake, and the negative portrayal of law enforcement officials, among others. So yeah, a lot of stuff with the seal of good practice. Again, that was used until the early 1980s. Now we switch over to the UK, and they had a lot less to talk about with the technical stuff, and more focusing on the programs ahead. What you're about to see, or hear rather, what you're about to hear was the very first close down that they called it close downs in the UK, sign-offs here in the US. The very first sign-off of Channel 4 on November 2nd, 1982. Roll tape.
Well, that brings us almost to the end of our first night's programs on Channel 4. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we're back at 4:45 with Countdown. Cartoon World is at 5:15, and then at 5:30, Everybody Here, a magazine program for children which reflects Britain's multicultural society. At 6 o'clock, the Cut Price Comedy Show, a truly awful program not recommended for those with a developed sense of humour. Lucky You, Lucky Me is at 6:30. Jonathan Dimbleby presents a satirical exploration of public and media attitudes towards the third world. After the Channel 4 news, Brookside, and the second of our dramas set on a Liverpool housing estate. At 8:30, 2020 Vision investigates the controversy surrounding the chemical 2,4,5-T. At 9 o'clock, our film on 4 is First Love, Patang Yang Kipperbang. The film is written by Jack Rosenthal, directed by Michael Apted, whose successes include the recent box office hit Coal Miner's Daughter, and the executive producer is David Putnam, famous, of course, for Chariots of Fire. The film is a love story portraying the clumsiness of adolescence as a teenage boy prays for his first kiss. At 10:30, Voices is a forum for debate on the arts, chaired by Al Alvarez. The topic tomorrow night is the Jewish example, and whether the Jewish contribution to Western culture is as vital now in the aftermath of the Lebanon War. Then our final program at 11:30 is Sleeve Notes, with a selection of clips from some of the music programs coming soon on 4. Tomorrow those featured will include Mike Batt, Duke Ellington, Gil Scott-Heron, and the National Youth Jazz Orchestra. That's programs tomorrow on 4. Well, as you can see, that's it from us for our first day here on Channel 4. Everyone has started to wend their weary way home. Thank you very much indeed for being with us on this very historic day in British broadcasting. As with any new baby, I hope you'll stay with us and watch us grow. And on behalf of everyone here at Channel 4, can I say thanks again for tuning, and do tune in again tomorrow at 4:45. On behalf of us all, this is Paul Coyer saying take care and have a very good night. Bye-bye for now.
As you can tell in that UK one, there's not a lot of technical stuff compared to the US, which is very interesting and actually what I kind of like, because let's face it, nobody cares about that technical stuff, like running on 2500 kilohertz and all that stuff. No, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. People are just trying to go to sleep. Just tell them good night and hit the lights out and tell them to go to sleep. It's that simple. I mean, that's why I really like the UK ones that much better, honestly. Let's do another example here, and this one in particular is interesting. This is from a TV network, also in the UK, called Westward Television. It was in the UK between 1961 and 1981, and lost in the famous ATV deal of 1980. Associated Television also went off the air at the end of 1981, and I think one other network did too. I forget the name of it though. I'll figure it out later. Anyways, here's a sample from Westward Television. This sign-off came from 1981, one of the last sign-offs.
Concentrating on the 50s, 60s and 70s, and it's non-stop, with Marmalade and Don Lang in Unforgettable. And with Camera at 11:05, looking at moving pictures, and Faith for Life at 11:30. That's Thursday night on Westward Television. Now the time, and it's 18 minutes to midnight. And that's the end of broadcasting from Westward Television for tonight. So, from all of us here at the studios and the transmitters, this is Roger Shaw wishing everyone a very good night. And that's all from Westward Television for tonight, so don't forget to switch off your sets. Good night.
You may have noticed a strange cue in the last 8 seconds of that clip. That was actually, and you are going to be surprised at this one, that was actually from a Netherlands TV series called Loki Delu. I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't speak Netherlands. I'm sorry. Um, that was a series that aired in the Netherlands, I think, for over 30 years. And that was their first outro they used. I believe that was from 1972 to 1974. And then used that same cue again in 1976-77. So yeah, pretty interesting to see how that kind of played in there. I'm surprised that someone actually had the nerve to actually do that. But, oh well, whatever works. Whatever works in this case. Yep. Signoffs bring a sense of nostalgia for people. They really do. If you grew up watching TV, grew up watching The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, which is another topic we'll be talking about next couple of weeks here on the show. We'll also be talking about lots and lots of stuff, but back on topic. Sign-offs bring a sense of nostalgia to people. They remember when television networks actually signed off and didn't do like infomercials. They didn't do infomercials like they always do nowadays. I guess you can say infomercials and paid programming are technically the sign-off. So I guess there's still a little sense of sign-off, although they don't truly sign off like they used to. And that's what I kind of miss about TV, Just at least everyone can go home and get some sleep, not like have people work overnight with the infomercials that no one's going to buy. I mean, let's face it, no one's going to buy those infomercial stuff, paid programming stuff anyway, unless you're really crazy and decide to do, I can't even talk, unless you decide to pull an all-nighter. Nah, not the best idea. If you're going to try and watch those infomercials all night, not the best idea. But, once the color bars went up, here, I'll show off a few short seconds here. There will be a tone, so I'm sorry, but that's how it works. Let's show this off here for just a few seconds. Here's the color bar tone that they used to use here. We'll show it off for just a second here. Oh yeah, just as a quick warning, it's gonna get loud, so if we blow your ears out, we're sorry. Roll for the next 10 seconds, please. I'll let your ears at least get back to normal here after that 10-second migraine. I know, you're probably gonna get migraines from that. I'm sorry, but that's what they did back then, so it makes sense. Anyway, once the color bar is shown up, pretty much turn your TV sets off, Just turn them off. That way, you don't leave them on all night and then it doesn't work. And besides, you wouldn't want to listen to that all night, would you? No, you wouldn't want to listen to that all night. No, come on, no. Not at all. What we did, what I did anyway, we decided, why do I keep saying we? I'm the only person that works here. What I did, I decided to come up with this idea and actually do a sign-off. Now, this isn't going to be for any, affiliate or something like that. No. We made up our own TV network name, BTV, which stands for Bingel Television. Yay! And we also have some programs and stuff like that. We're going to base it off the UK sign-offs, much shorter. So please enjoy our little short presentation here. Enjoy. Tomorrow night on VTV Late Night, Kate Monster and Princeton from Avenue Q to celebrate Avenue Q Week on Late Night, celebrating its 15th anniversary. You won't want to miss it. That's tomorrow night on Late Night. Also tomorrow night on the BTV Friday Night Movie, Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, and all the Muppet Gang turn London upside down in an action-packed case full of detectives and full of comedy. Diana Rigg and the Muppets star in The Great Muppet Caper tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on the BTV Friday Night Movie. And just before we go this evening, we would like to remind you that daylight savings time is coming up. So that means move your clock 1 hour forward, not tonight, but next week. Just so we're not confused, once again, not this week, but next week. Turn your clocks forward 1 hour for daylight savings times. Meanwhile, though, the time now, it is 25 minutes to 1, and it's time for us to sign off for the night. We hope you're back here tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock for BTV This Morning. For all of us here, this is Matt Bingel. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning. Good night. And one final reminder, do not forget to turn off your television sets. Good night. Short, sweet, and to the point. Now, I didn't make an entire schedule for it because, well, I just didn't want to go through all that. But yeah, that was my little recreation of a UK sign-off. And now, well, no, actually I'll save the US sign-offs for another point here. I would like to show off, however, another US sign-off here. Let me see if I can find one that's not too long here. Kind of want to limit this thing here. Let's see here. Give me a second here. Okay, I think I found one. This is from WCET Channel 48 Cincinnati from 1985. So here's another US sign-off with the technical program. You know.
This brings to a close another day of broadcasting by WCET, America's first licensed public television station. Owned and operated as a non-commercial community service by the Greater Cincinnati Television Educational Foundation, WCET is an equal opportunity employer. With studios in the Crosley Telecommunications Center at 1223 Central Parkway and transmitter located at 2222 Chickasaw Street in Cincinnati, Ohio. WCET telecasts on ultra-high-frequency Channel 48 with studio transmitter length WDY-70 and a maximum radiated visual power of 2.3 megawatts by the authority of the Federal Communications Commission in Washington, D.C. TV-48 is affiliated with the Public Broadcasting Service and receives some programs via the Westar 1 satellite. WCET also belongs to the Ohio Educational Broadcasting Network, which links all Ohio public television stations for the finest in statewide programming. In addition, WCET produces programs for local, regional, and national distribution, and we welcome your comments and suggestions. Address your comments to the Director of Programming, WCET, 1223 Central Parkway, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45214. The entire staff of WCET wishes you a very pleasant good night.
I think the reason why they did all that technical stuff is because I think everyone went to bed after late night. I'm just being honest here, you know. Nobody usually stays up after late night with David Letterman. I mean, this was 1985 after all, so you can remember. Then again, nobody stays up after late night anyway, so, I mean, even nowadays. So, yeah, you know, they should just sign off at like 1:45 or something like that. Not just have these infomercials on every night. Because, let's face it, nobody buys them. It's just a distraction. Like most things these days, they're distractions. Yep. I don't know what it is, but I really love sign-offs. You know, maybe it relates to us. You know, maybe we're tired and we're closing down, shutting down our bodies. And I guess television networks did the same thing. If that even makes any sense. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. It's the best I can do. Yeah. So, TV sign-offs are pretty amazing. If you didn't recognize the music that played during like the first minute of that clip you just heard, that was actually Canon in D major, I believe it was. Yes, it was. By Johann Pachelbel. I think it's like I'm not really good pronouncing names. I'm sorry. Yep, it is a lot of fun. I can't even think of what I want to say now. But I really want to extend this a little more. So, but yeah, like I mentioned earlier, sign-offs have a sense of nostalgia for people, even though they technically don't do sign-offs anymore, unless it's like their actual final sign-off, and then they sign off for good. radio stations. Radio stations used to sign off, but this was way, 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 way back. Like, we're talking late 60s, early 70s. I don't know if it did here in the U.S., but I know it did in the U.K. So, yes. I really don't have very much left to say in terms of sign-offs, I don't think. Nothing's coming to my head. I think I've talked about everything I wanted to say. So I think that's going to wrap it up here. Next week, we're going to be talking about Double Dare. And I will have some buddies with me next week. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We hope you're back next week on the Bingel Watch. I apologize if this was a shorter episode than I said I was. I said I was going to do about 45 minutes to an hour, but I've ran out of things to say, honestly. Except, again, sign-offs bring a sense of nostalgia, and we want them back. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, who watches infomercials anyways? I mean, you gotta be insane to watch infomercials. Except if it's in the afternoon, there's nothing good to watch. If it's late at night, though, like let's say 2, 3 in the morning and you're watching infomercials, yeah, you've lost your mind. With that being said, that's it for this week. Next week, it's Double Dare. We're going to be talking the original Family Double Dare, Super Sloppy Double Dare, and the current Double Dare. It's going to be a lot of fun. You won't want to miss next week's show here. On behalf of all of us, well, only myself, for me, Matt Bingel, thank you so much for watching the Bingel Watch, and no pun intended, but I'm signing off. See you next week. One more thing I forgot to mention, if you're listening to this really, really late at night, go ahead and switch your devices off, whether it be your laptop, your computer, your phone, your iPad, whatever. Switch it off and get some sleep. If you're listening to this in your early afternoon or early in the evening, you're good. It's just anybody who was listening to this really, really late at night, so get some sleep. Bye!